Hello, this is Newslive on Viewer Television. I am Ambassador Jesse. Here are the headlines. President Muhammadu Buhari prays for peace, justice at Tafsir. Terrorists attack Kaduna military base, kill 11 soldiers and injure 19 plus. Sri Lanka protesters demand President resign over dire economic crisis. President Muhammadu Buhari in Abuja joined the Muslim faithful at the State House Mosque to mark the commencement of the Ramadan Tafsir, the interpretation and explanation of the Quran. According to a statement signed on Monday by his senior special assistant on media and publicity, Garba Shehu, Buhari joined in prayers for justice, peace, prosperity, and enhanced welfare of the whole humanity. The exercise, which is in line with Islam's guiding principles and intense devotional activities, marks a 30-day Ramadan period. Buhari emphasized the need for deepening forgiveness, mercy, and kindness to the poor. At least no fewer than 11 soldiers were feared killed by suspected terrorists in a military base at Birnin-Gwari local government area of Kaduna State. According to a source, the bloodthirsty terrorists in large numbers stormed and engaged the soldiers at the military base at Polwire village. 19 other soldiers were injured. He said the bandits, riding on motorcycles and carrying AK-47 rifles, engaged the soldiers in a gun battle for more than 2 hours before the terrorists eventually subdued them. The terrorists, it was learned, raised the troops' armored personnel carrier after they had overwhelmed them. The bandits carted away weapons after dislodging the soldiers. A coalition of 50 civil society organizations, CSOs, called on the federal government to initiate prompt rescue of abducted citizens in the Kaduna-Abuja train attack. One of the conveners of the group, the executive director, Global Right, called on government to take urgent and deliberate action.
On the government to take urgent and deliberate actions to live up to its constitutional duty of ensuring the security and welfare of all Nigerians, to review the nation's security architecture and be more proactive in building the capacity of intelligence agencies, to be humane in its actions as mandated in Section 17(2)(c) of our Constitution, to account for the abducted, the missing, and the dead in the Abuja-Kaduna rail bombing, to take immediate action to rescue all abducted persons in that incident and in incidents across the country.
Another convener and executive director of the Civil Society Legislative Advocacy Center said the call was necessary in the face of escalating attacks and killings in different parts of the country.
In the first month, being the bombing of the Abuja-Kaduna train and Gidan train station, the brazen attack on Kaduna Airport, the takeover of Kaduna-Abuja Express Road by terrorist groups, the siege on the 9 communities in Giwa local government area, Kaduna State, which resulted in the loss of over 100 lives, was an unspecified number of persons abducted from their homes during that invasion. The increased attack in the southeastern Nigeria, in particular Imo State, the attack on Iwe South local government of Anambra State, and the burning of the local government secretariat. The escalation of gang war in Lagos and Ogun states, the killing of over 65 persons in Kebbi State, the attack on Kwale Area Council of Abuja, and the abduction of a traditional ruler. The list appears endless.
Monday Osasa, Executive Director, African Center for Leadership, Strategy and Development, said, in spite of all the security challenges, citizens wielding arms was not the best option.
I'm not of the opinion that citizens should bear arms. The need to go back and ensure that we take issues of state policing forward cannot be overemphasized. So my call really is that state police is a necessity now in Nigeria. And moreover, government should treat the issue of security at the moment with an emergency.
The Nigerian Railway Corporation says it will work relentlessly with security agencies to ensure the rescue of those kidnapped in the March 28 terror attack on an Abuja-Kaduna-bound passenger train. NRC's Managing Director, Fidel Okiria, disclosed this in a statement made available to newsmen. He said that the corporation was working assiduously with security agencies to ensure that the abductees were rescued and reunited with their families. The managing director stated that 191 out of the 362 validated passengers aboard the train had been confirmed safe and were in their various homes. The Christian Association of Nigeria, CAN, Northern Chapter, urges President Muhammadu Buhari to convene a meeting of northern stakeholders to prefer solutions to insecurity challenges in the area. Yakubu Pam, CAN's chairman in the 19 northern states, and the FCT made the call while declaring open the association 2022 first quarter national executive meeting in Abuja.
This matter cannot be handled by the government alone. There are people whose brains are being wasted. They are sitting at home. And why they are sitting at home? Because they have never been called to be involved in it. And it is time to bring them together. We have the General Gawang, they are still alive. We have the General IBB, Babangida, they are all still alive. And we have a couple of northern leaders that has been in the security system who knows a lot. I'm just trying to say that the brain of one person cannot be enough to solve this problem. We need an involvement. And it is time to say, if we cannot save the people, we all perish.
Dodo, a Catholic priest of Archdiocese of Kaduna and treasurer, Northern CAN, said the meeting was to find an end to insecurity in the country.
We have usually a quarterly meeting of the Northern CAN, and as usual, we all came in to take place, to participate as active members of Northern CAN to respond to some of the things that are happening in the north, in the west, in the south, and the east of Nigeria, and particularly in Kaduna State. And that is why we are all gathered here to respond to some of the issues that are very pressing and very, very disturbing to the coexistence of what is happening, particularly in the north and Kaduna.
Governor Boyega Oyetola of Osun has inaugurated a committee to resolve the lingering leadership tussle within the Benue community in the state. Represented by his special advisor on civil engagement, Olatunbosun Oyintiloye, the governor at the meeting noted that Osun was a peaceful state and had given room for indigents and non-indigents to live in harmony.
We must appreciate Mr. Governor Alhaji Boyega Oyetola, who have proved that this government is responsible and responsive to issue. The issue here today is a lingering issue within the Benue community, which has resulted to court issue, and that is why Osun has been known as a peaceful state, and the governor is championing a peaceful environment, a peaceful coexistence among the indigenous, and that is the more reason for us to sustain this peace. We must not let any stone unturned, and we must not create any chances for any crisis within the state.
In his response, a factional leader of the group, Chief Audu Samson, appreciated the state government prompt intervention in the crisis.
Yeah, I say very, very okay. Why I say very, very okay is my mind is to resolve the whole thing. If at all he agreed to withdraw the case in court, he took me to court. Then if he agreed to resolve it, to withdraw the case, that's my way.
Also speaking, the leader of the second faction, Chief Augustine Nsor, described government intervention as a welcome development.
If the government of Osun State, a very peaceful state, being governed by our able governor, Governor Boyoga Yotura, that come up with the idea of resolving our crisis, we will be happy because we believe government can only work with the resolve. So it is a welcome development, and I also employ my people to be law-abiding. As a peaceful state like Osun, it will not be good if we will be causing problem. And this committee said today, I believe they will do their best to silence all these crises.
The National Bureau of Statistics, NBS, says that valid and reliable data is critical in the fight against child and forced labor in Nigeria. Statistician General Simon Harris says the Bureau of Statistics, in conjunction with the International Labour Organization, is hosting another training of trainers workshop for the National Child and Forced Labor Survey 2022.
And child labor has become a global challenge that indeed requires drastic measures to be taken in order to address it. I believe that tackling the problem of child labor and forced labor requires a multidisciplinary approach and the active participation of relevant stakeholders.
In addition, Agatha Kolowale, the National Project Coordinator, believes that a long-term method of collecting statistics on the prevalence of child labor in Nigeria will allow for a more appropriate response to the problem.
This 3 days training workshop is expected to enhance the national response to eradicating child labor towards the achievement of a national child labor survey on child labor and forced labor in Nigeria, which also responds to target 8.7 of the Sustainable Development Goals. So many children are trapped in slavery, forced labor, and trafficking, forced to participate in armed conflict, use of prostitution, pornography, or in illicit activities, or in hazardous work. We must act urgently to protect their rights and restore their childhood. We therefore call for the support of the federal government of Nigeria to ensure a sustainable medium of collecting data on the prevalence of child labor in Nigeria to ensure appropriate response to reduce this menace.
Labor and Employment Delegate Ejed Dennis expressed excitement and high expectations for the survey.
That today we are here to witness the trainers workshop, and then the eventual field work that will follow later. We wish that this program will bring about, the generation of valid, reliable data for the child labor and forced labor, for us to have a reliable data in Nigeria.
When Newslive returns, a high-powered delegation of biotechnology and biosafety team members on a study tour from Ghana has applauded Nigeria's success story in the areas of biotechnology.
Hi, my name is Ikia Maton. Being an anchor has been a tremendous experience, from editing the news to reading the news. As an anchor, you have to be objective and impartial. Sometimes you have to put on a very indifferent look, a stoic character, such that you do not display your emotions. But then the stories that we tell, from politics to the economy to insecurity to education, also affect us. And as journalists, we are also affected by stories. From the teleprompter to the lights to the camera to the action to the reading of the news, it's all a synchronization of various activities at the same time. Sometimes you have to listen to feedback, sometimes you have to stop, sometimes you have to continue. Sometimes, you know, there are technical hitches that we can never overlook, but then you have to come up with a strategy, you have to come up with your professionalism to ensure that the audience do not even know what is happening behind the scenes, and then you just have to carry on.
Welcome back. If you're just joining us, this is Newslive. A recap of our top stories. President Muhammadu Buhari prays for peace, justice at Tstv. Terrorists attack Kaduna military base, kill 11 soldiers and injure 19 plus. Sri Lanka protesters demand president resign over dire economic crisis. A high-powered delegation of biotechnology and biosafety team members on a study tour from Ghana has applauded Nigeria's success story in the areas of biotechnology and biosafety. Ghanaian parliamentarian Dr. Emmanuel Marfo made this disclosure during a courtesy call to the National Biotechnology Development Agency in Abuja. Marfo, who is Chairman, Parliamentary Select Committee on Ministry of Environment, Science, Technology and Innovation, Ghana, expressed satisfaction on behalf of the team for being among people doing a qualitative job of trying to feed the nation, noting that the visit would help to broaden their scope in biotechnology. The parliamentarian also said the meeting enabled him to understand the activities of science and also speak for science ditto effective representation at their parliament or anywhere else. The Catholic Bishops' Conference of Nigeria, the Sultan of Sokoto, Alhaji Abubakar Sa'ad, led Jama'atu Nasril Islam, some state governments and the Manufacturers Association of Nigeria have taken a swipe at the federal government over its failure to address the rise in insecurity in the country. The group stated this as killings and other forms of insecurity took a toll on investment in the country, with foreign investors shunned in 24 states in 2021. Earlier, the National Bureau of Statistics released data which indicated that Nigeria generated a total of $698.7 million from foreign direct investment in 2021. According to data from the NBS, the FDI generated in 2021 was the lowest the country recorded in 10 years. The report also revealed that 24 states in the country failed to attract any foreign investment last year. Tony International Gymnastics, TIG founder Tony Asuko, says his organization will sponsor more competitions to discover talented young gymnasts in the country. He reiterated his plans to use TIG to discover and develop grassroots talent in gymnastics across the country. Asuko said that the competition to be held in the male and female categories will reveal great talent.
Of the UK embassy, we have the Denmark embassy, you have directors, you have a whole lot of people here. We have children from 3 to 12, and then they were all here, they did what they were supposed to do. We had a lot in different levels. You know, we had 6 levels for today, from the beginners to level 6. And I think we got a lot of gymnasts. You saw some that were very good, And then you saw some other ones that are doing in the school, but they are not very good. So we'll take them from the school down to the gym. This is what we do. We'll pick the children from the school, we'll take them to the gym, we'll now train them professionally. As you can see, we have professional standard routine here, and our level system is being compared to the level system all over the world. This is the second one for this year, and then we have another one in June, and then we'll do in July. And then we'll go to South Africa. When we're back from South Africa, we have the big championship again.
The Association of Former Female Athletes in Nigeria have unveiled the first netball court in Nigeria to develop the sport from the grassroots. The unveiling ceremony of the first netball court and equipment was held at the old parade ground in Abuja. The president of the AFFAN, Esther Aluko, told newsmen that the aim of the association was to revive the sport in the country. Aluko, who is also the secretary of Nigerian Netball Federation, said they are sending out equipment to zonal areas to develop the sport. The AFAN also donated netball equipment, including netball balls, rims and nets, and training bibs to all the 6 geopolitical zones in the country.
The primary school, and I played netball in the 70s in the secondary schools. We don't have the courts, and basketball took over even the few existing netball courts. So we don't want that to repeat itself this time around, and that is why we want permanent netball courts. We have spoken to the officials of FCT, secondary school boards, and they have assured us they will give us 3 schools per each Abuja council area. Sports run on facilities. Without facilities, we cannot develop any sport. The essence of having this in Abuja is to create an awareness that netball is back here in Nigeria. And with the equipment we have, we are sending the equipment to tertiary institutions, to secondary schools, to zonal centers for the schools. We can't just stay here in Abuja and say that netball is back. Some clubs from the states and some tertiary institutions to get this equipment. So any moment from now, we begin to send this equipment out, and they have assured us that they have space to construct netball courts.
The Registrar, Joint Admissions and Matriculation Board, Professor Ishak Oloyede, has explained why the board allowed computer-based test centers to increase the service charge to 1,000 naira for its April 9 mock examination. Oloyede explained that the slight increase in the service charge for the examination by the CBT centers was to allow them to do a thorough job owing to the increase in the cost of diesel to power their generating sets. The main UTME had been scheduled by the board to commence from May the 6th to May the 16th. According to the registrar, the board is not increasing its charges, adding that before now, the registration documents used to be 5,000 naira. The Nigerian Senate has extended the implementation year of the 2021 Appropriation Act from 31st of March to 31st of May 2022. The extension was approved following the consideration of the bill to amend the 2021 Appropriation Act. The report.
The bill, sponsored by Senate leader Senator Yaya Abdullahi, was read on Tuesday for the first time, the second time and the third time after the suspension of Rule 78, subsection 1 of the Senate Standing Rule 2022 as amended. Leading the debate on the bill, Senator Abdullahi recalled that appropriation acts passed mid-year usually have their implementation extended to the following year. He explained that the extension of the budget period became imperative in view of the need to complete ongoing projects nearing completion.
In view of the critical importance of these key projects which are nearing completion, it is expedient to grant further extension of the expiration clause to avoid confounding the problem of abandoned projects, given that some of the projects were not provided for in the 2022 budget. Therefore, the need to extend the implementation year to 31st March 2022 is apparent. This is in order to avoid liabilities and unnecessary cost escalation of projects that have already gone through the necessary implementation processes. This extension will help us realize the implementation to 100% of all the projects of all the programs, including the Supplementary Appropriation Act that has also been passed by the National Assembly. A bill for an act to amend the 2021 Appropriation Act in order to extend the implementation year from 31st March to 31st May 2022 and for related matters 2022 third reading taken, and bill is passed. Thank you very much, distinguished colleagues. Our colleagues in the House of Representatives, and time is of essence, and I will urge the executive arm of government to swiftly swing into action to ensure that we achieve 100% budget implementation like we did achieve in the 2020 Appropriation Act.
3 other bills came through second reading this Tuesday. These bills are to establish a National Industrial Technology Park, the Federal College of Agric, Ise-Orin, Ekiti State, and the Federal College of Agriculture, Ogoja, Cross River State. The bills, after consideration, were referred to the relevant committees. The committees have 4 weeks to report back to the Senate.
And now in business news, the total international trade in agricultural goods and the country's 2.4 trillion naira in 2021, with the import value exceeding export value by 2.23 trillion naira. Despite interventions by the federal government to diversify the economy and increase food production in the country, security concerns have driven a lot of farmers out of their livelihood. Figures obtained from the National Bureau of Statistics reveal that while Nigerian farmers exported goods worth 127.2 billion naira in the first quarter of 2021, the country imported 630.2 billion naira goods. In the second quarter, agricultural goods worth 165.27 billion naira were exported, while import value was 652.08 billion naira. The Central Bank of Nigeria has warned the public to avoid dealing with unlicensed or illegal financial operators who lure and defraud unsuspecting members of the public with promises of outrageous returns. The CBN disclosed this in the Financial Service Regulation Coordinating Committee's public statements advisory on illegal financial operators in Nigeria posted on its website. It urged the public to visit the websites of the CBN, Securities and Exchange Commission, and other relevant member agencies of the FSRCC to verify the registration and license status of such companies and schemes before investing in them. It added that agencies must refer to relevant supervisory authorities for confirmation before finalizing on any registration licensing application. The Central Bank of Nigeria has expressed concern over the increasing amount of mutilated banknotes deposited with the Apex Bank by deposit money banks. To this end, the CBN has warned banks to stop including composed currency notes in their deposits or risk paying a penalty of 40 or 400% of the value of the banknote. Composed banknotes are mutilated currency notes that comprise several parts of different banknotes of the same denomination. The parts of such currency notes are usually put together with the intention of receiving value. Umar said that the existence of such banknotes in the economy falsifies the true value of the currency in circulation and could also be an avenue for fraudulent activities. The Minister of Information and Culture, Lai Mohammed, has described the Dangote Petroleum Refinery as a project that will revolutionize the petroleum industry in not only Nigeria, but the rest of Africa by extension. Speaking during a media tour of the 650,000 barrels per day, $19 billion facility at the Ibeju-Lekki, Lagos State, Mohammed said the refinery will be a game changer once it is fully operational. The minister, who also went on tour of the $2.5 billion Dangote fertilizer plant, said the refinery's operations will significantly boost Nigeria's gross domestic product. Now on the foreign scene, rescue operations are underway after Australian police said a landslide struck a British family on holiday in Sydney, killing the father and his 9-year-old son while critically injuring the mother and another son. Police said the bodies of a 9-year-old boy and his 49-year-old father were recovered near Wentworth Pass at around 9:30 a.m. on Tuesday. 5 members of the same family were caught in the landslide on Monday while on holiday in Australia from the UK. Police say they have undergone surgery and remain in critical conditions. Shanghai will remain under lockdown as it reviews results of an exercise to test all of its 26 million residents for COVID-19. The city began its 2-stage lockdown on March the 28th, initially in Shanghai's eastern district and later expanded to cover the whole city. The curbs, which have massively disrupted daily life and business operations in China's financial hub, were initially scheduled to end at 5 a.m. local time on Tuesday. The country sent the military and thousands of healthcare workers into Shanghai to help carry out COVID-19 tests for all of its 26 million residents on Monday, in one of the country's biggest ever public health responses. Sri Lankan demonstrators gather at Independence Memorial Hall and outside President Gotabaya Rajapaksa's office in Colombo, demanding his resignation over the country's worsening shortages of food, fuel and medicines. Severe shortages of food, fuel and other essentials, along with record inflation and crippling power cuts, have inflicted widespread misery in the country's most painful downturn since independence from Britain in 1948. Public anger is at a fever pitch, with crowds attempting to storm the homes of several government figures since the weekend and large demonstrations elsewhere in the country. Several regions in Kenya have been hit by major fuel shortages, leading to closure of many petrol stations. A field survey done by Capital News at petrol stations in select cities and towns revealed a biting shortage, with affected filling stations capping sales at 2,000 shillings or less for vehicles and as low as 100 shillings for motorbikes. In Malindi and adjacent areas, public transport was paralyzed, with operators decrying scarcity. In Western region, motorists queued way past midnight with jerrycans to buy fuel amid panic over the looming crisis.
If I can tell you we've been here for 3 good days, inamaanisha ya kwamba there is nothing yenye tumepata yenye tunapeleka kwa nyumba. Unaona, hata wale ambao wanafanya hizi biashara za cab, wanafanya hizi biashara za cab, they cannot do it anymore.
Tangi ya pikipiki yangu, sababu singeweza kusukuma pikipiki kutoka kwa nyumba mpaka hapa. Fungue pikipiki, nitembee na tangi. Kama hakuna, sirudi kwa nyumba sababu watoto watanipigia makelele. Nitalala hapa.
And that's all on Newslive. But before we go, a recap of the headlines. President Muhammadu Buhari prays for peace, justice at Tafsir. Terrorists attack Kaduna military base, kill 11 soldiers and injure 19 plus. Sri Lanka protesters demand President resign over dire economic crisis. Many thanks for watching. I am Ambassador Jessie. Please stay tuned and enjoy the rest of our programs.